And let's start out by taking a quick look back at the Ghislaine Maxwell sentencing story, which sentencing is supposed to be coming up toward the end of, I believe it's June it's coming up. I can't remember if it's May 28th or June 28th, but it's coming up fairly quickly. It may be May 28th. Anyway, Ghislaine Maxwell's sentencing is coming right up here. And what's happened, and I saw a bunch of stories on this, and I heard some people talking about it, and they're saying her sentence has been reduced by 10 years, so I thought I would just kind of clear that little issue up as our quick look back at that ongoing saga. And basically what the judge did was the judge found that 3 of the counts of which she was convicted are so similar that they ought to be combined essentially into one count for sentencing purposes. This was requested by the defense. And what it does is it takes the maximum sentence that Ghislaine Maxwell can receive down to 55 years from what was a possible sentence of 65 years. So she hasn't been sentenced yet. We'll wait to see exactly what the actual sentence is. But some people have thought, they've knocked 10 years off her sentence, and that hasn't necessarily happened.
What do you think will happen?
Well, I don't think she'll get anywhere near the maximum. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I think she deserves something very significant. I don't imagine that she'll get anything near the maximum. I don't think she's got any prior convictions. And I would have a concern that we're going to see something between 0 and 5 years, kind of a light sentence for the crimes alleged, in my opinion. But, of course, she's among a class of people who tend to get away with these kind of crimes as opposed to being punished by them. And we've heard so many stories about that through the last several years of people essentially starting out with Jeffrey Epstein, right, where he was punished very, very lightly back in the late 2000s for all of the crimes that had piled up against him down in Palm Beach County. And, of course, still these famous people, Bill Gates and others, continued to associate with Jeffrey Epstein. And one wonders why. I mean, he was he had been convicted of engaging essentially in prostitution with underage girls, but again, given a very light sentence on that ultimately, which allowed him essentially to stay in home, quote unquote, home confinement where he could, travel to his office and things like that. But it wasn't real jail. It wasn't prison like anyone else would have gone to and experienced. So, and of course, ultimately his end did come in jail while he was supposedly awaiting trial, and we never got to get to the bottom of all of that. And nobody's ever gotten to the bottom of all of the people that Ghislaine Maxwell was supposedly going to out, all the other people that were involved, because this wasn't just Jeffrey Epstein doing this stuff. Remember, he was almost farming these girls out to rich and powerful men and then engaging in a blackmail operation. That's what they think was really going on, and that's what we think was probably most likely going on based on everything that we've heard. And we don't think Jeffrey Epstein was necessarily operating on his own because that just doesn't make any sense. He was a proxy for someone else, a government, an intelligence service, something like that. So, again, probably going to be a lighter sentence than what you're hearing as the possible maximum, and probably significantly lighter. But let's wait and see what happens. This case has taken a few turns already, and I'm anxious to see what actually happens at the end of this. Hopefully somebody will get some justice, and maybe it's going to be Ghislaine Maxwell, and we'll just see what happens from that. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.